I loathe FedEx with a passion, but not for the reason you may expect. Here's my story. After nearly 2 years of being on lockdown, I was finally getting out in the world again. I'd been visiting my beloved husband at his duty station in Korea. He's active duty in the army, you see. And after a month, I packed up my things and headed to Florence for 2 weeks of Italian language school and to work, because if I have to work, I might as well work from a cool place like Florence. Well, my logistician husband helped me pack, and when I dragged my sleep-deprived form out of bed at 4:30 in the morning, he informed me that he had packed my laptop and charging cable. Great. So I proceeded to collect my luggage, or we collected my luggage, and we set off on foot in the pre-cold dawn to walk to the metro stop. Normally, I would pull out my laptop and work while on the train, but I was too sleepy to manage it on the first, say, 1.3 hours of the journey. I just kind of dozed. But after making the harried and urgent transfer at Stoll Station to get to the airport train, which if you've ever made, you know what I mean, I was fully awake and ready to get down to the serious business of working. So I reached into my backpack and pulled out nothing. My hand met with nothing that was vaguely laptop-shaped, just a charging cable. Furiously, I plumbed the depths of my leather backpack, all of its many pockets, desperately hoping against hope that my fingers would stumble across its sleek shape. That, although massive, it had somehow slipped into a secret, extra-dimensional space and was just awaiting some mumbo-jumbo magic spell to summon it forth. No, not at all. My stomach sank as realization set in. And then I traversed the stages of mourning. Well, the first stage of mourning, in any case, anger. I'm not certain I have ever dropped so many indelicate F-bombs in so little time in my life. I'm certain there were very alarmed Koreans on the train who had only heard that word in American rap songs. And then I pulled out my phone and furiously tried to reach him by any means through that. WhatsApp, Messenger, phone calls, anything in the hopes that he could somehow catch a taxi and meet me at the airport with my laptop. But, dear viewer, he had turned off the laptop and all the sounds on his phone and had fallen back into a deep sleep. No hope for it. By the time Ryan was awake, I'd already checked in for my flight and made it through security and customs and was filming Terminal 2 of Seoul Incheon International Airport, which is quite a lovely place whose beauty helped kind of assuage my emotional turmoil somewhat. Awakening, Ryan saw the infinite missed calls from me and the messages and realized, with horror, what had gone wrong. He called and we agreed that he would see about overnighting me the laptop in Italy. He was still going through the stages of grief, whereas I'd already moved on at that point. Meanwhile, I boarded the plane and was off in the sky for a flight that unfortunately did not include Wi-Fi. So when I landed in Paris 12 hours later, this is a little bit like Romeo and Juliet actually, I learned that FedEx had told him no overnight service was possible and that the laptop would not reach me for 5 days, 6 at most, 1 extra for customs processing. Had I known that, I would have told him not to spend a boatload of money to ship it. With that much time, I was going to have to buy a replacement to use in any case. My laptop is my livelihood. But too late. Well, the laptop arrived in Italy on Friday. The next day, yay, right? Oh, so very wrong. It sat in Italy for 5 days before FedEx's customs processing office deigned to send me an email requiring me to print out a bunch of documents, sign them, and scan them. No DocuSign, no electronic option whatsoever. Just assuming I would, of course, like everyone these days, have access to a printer, especially when out traveling. In a world in which fewer and fewer people have printers anyway. And I only had access to one because I go to the best language school ever. Parola, I love you. Luca, you're the best. So I printed out the paperwork, filled it in, signed it, scanned everything, and sent it back, all thanks to Parola. The next day, I received 2 emails asking why, A, there was a discrepancy between the customs value on the shipping bill of $1,500 and my claim that the item was worth only $250. Wait, $1,500? What the fuck? We did not even pay that much for the laptop when it was brand new a year ago. Apparently, FedEx in Korea had asked my husband how much he paid for it, and they put that in as the customs value, which of course it is patently not. Laptops lose value like cars. Drive them off the computer lot, and by the time you get home, they're obsolete and almost worth nothing. I responded that the FedEx clerk had made a mistake and confirmed that the laptop was worth $250 and that I had accidentally left it in Korea and would only be in Italy until February 18th. Certainly not long enough to set up an illegal laptop ring. I did not state the latter, of course. But for you, dear viewer, and for me, some humor is required here. Anyway, I then heard back nothing from anyone, which is worse than bad news. No courtesy of confirming that anything had been received, that everything was then in order, or that it was all wrong and I would never see my laptop again. Just nothing. The FedEx staff in Korea, meanwhile, tell Ryan that there's nothing they can do to help. It's just out of their poor little helpless hands. Oh, and of course, they bear no responsibility for having entered grossly incorrect information in formal customs documents. So, I reached out to my fixer, Luca, the super generous, super helpful ringleader of Parola Italian Language School in Florence, and asked if he could call FedEx. He said, of course, and he'd be happy to do so because he's a great guy. I showed him the number my husband had found because, of course, FedEx in Korea would not provide him with one. They just didn't have any numbers. As Gianluca looked at the number, though, his face obtained a pained expression. It was a 900 number, you see, which cost 10 cents a minute. So, yes, we would have to pay to get FedEx to provide the service for which we'd already paid. Fuck you, FedEx. Well, after some further digging and discovering that lots of people have had similar problems with FedEx in Italy, Ryan located an 800 number. Gianluca kindly called, spent 5 bloody minutes of his precious life pressing his way through menu numbers before finally reaching an actual human being, who told him unhelpfully that I had to fill out paperwork, which I'd already done, and that if, because they didn't know whether I had, if I had done that, then we just had to wait for customs. Neither confirming nor denying that I had sent, whether the documents I'd sent had even been received or that they were sufficient, nor telling us when the laptop might receive approval or if we would end up having to pay duties on it, maybe no useful information at all. Gianluca provided the school's email and phone number and asked them to call us with more information, which FedEx totally did. End of painful story. JK, of course they didn't. Jesus. FedEx has worse service than a buffet in hell. FedEx never responded in any way. Gianluca, great guy that he is, called back day after day. By the way, he doesn't get paid to do this. He runs a language school, for God's sake. Anyway, day 4, after having submitted the paperwork, day 8 of the laptop having been in Italy, and we still had heard nothing new. Same useless, infuriating non-information from FedEx, who seemed utterly uninterested in helping get the laptop to me or doing anything to communicate with customs to smooth the process or to find out information so that we at least knew where we stood. Niente, as they say in Italian. So, Gianluca looked up the number for customs at Malpensa Airport and called, and finally got through. Yay! I had you again. Of course he didn't reach anyone. Italian bureaucracy is wretched. Meanwhile, Gianluca informed me that they have had multiple students who have experienced exactly the same issues. Personal items stuck for weeks or months in customs and then having to pay duties on them or send them back. And then we started discovering that this is a common problem with FedEx shipments to Italy. So common that FedEx obviously knows about the major hurdles involving shipments to Italy. The entire internet apparently knows about it if one does a search. So, my beef with FedEx is not that Italian customs is probably going to screw us over, or even that the shipment is taking so long to get through it. No. My beef with FedEx is much more complex. 1. FedEx claims to be a world shipping expert. As an expert, they should then know about the hurdles with customs agents in countries like Italy and other EU countries. In fact, they must know because the agents in Italy said as much on the Italian end. 2, When the FedEx agent in Korea was told that I needed the laptop immediately, they should have 100% disclosed the problems that the laptop would most likely face, and then it would take weeks to get through, or months even, apparently. Especially since Ryan told her that I was only in Italy for 2 weeks. Instead, she lied and said it might take an extra day for customs processing, a day. Well, maybe a day in geologic time. It has now taken an extra 7 since arriving in Italy. 3. The FedEx agent should have also informed Ryan that Italy would probably try to charge import duties on my personal use property and the salt in the wound, collection fees to boot. So I have to pay them, right? Great. 4. The FedEx agent made a gross error by misinterpreting the value of the item. $1,500 versus $250 is pretty damned important. But FedEx is taking no responsibility for this, nor will they correct the shipping bill for customs. They've left it to us to deal with their mistake, one that will no doubt be extremely expensive. FedEx is providing zero support in this matter. They refuse to bestir their bloated selves to contact customs and find out what is happening to at least let us know where we are in the process. As far as I know, no one ever received my documents and we're still at step 0. All these reasons are why I am furious with FedEx. We spent a massive amount of money to get that laptop to me in a timely fashion, and instead we'll end up having to pay just for it to go back to my husband in Korea. No doubt taking damage along the way based on the reports I've heard from people on their FedEx shipments massively damaged and ruined, with FedEx refusing to cover the damages. What's that, you say? Well, for instance, one friend sent a shipment of souvenirs, including an antique chessboard and handmade azulejo tiles from Portugal. Well, when the box arrived, it had been destroyed and taped back together. No one mentioned that, by the way. And rather than the original expensive contents, contained not but a random tea towel that she not even bought at all, and not a single thing that she did buy. FedEx claimed that they owed her nothing because the box had made it. Another friend lost roughly $12,000 in prescription migraine medication due to FedEx's mishandling. It was all ruined and useless because it had been exposed to conditions that fouled the precious active ingredients. And FedEx claimed that they owed her nothing for it, even though they supposedly tout their professional shipment or transport of medication. So, dear viewer, if you are traveling, never ship anything to the EU ever, and certainly not using FedEx or DHL. Same story, different person. Learn from our expensive mistakes and spread the word. Fuck FedEx.